Well, Tennessee was off this past weekend, but college football rolled on. How does the playoff picture look now, and did Tennessee hurt its chances by simply not playing? All that and more to Monday, Locked On Vols.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Vols. I am your host, Eric Kane. Can't thank you enough for being here, making Locked On Vols your first listen, your first watch each and every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. And of course, while you're there, please subscribe on the YouTube channel and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. We'll have our mailbag show tomorrow. So if you have any questions, go ahead and get those in at _Kane or Locked On Vols, or by leaving a comment on the YouTube channel. I'll take those there as well. Today's show, we're going to look at the college football playoff picture through whatever week it was this past weekend. Of course, it was the second bye week of the season for Tennessee. How did that affect the Volunteers? Spoilers, I don't think it affected them much at all. I think Tennessee's obviously still very much on track to be a college football playoff team, and we'll discuss those possibilities and who it's kind of on that bubble, according to Ari Wasserman over at On3 here in segment number 1. Stats that matter in segment number 2 for Tennessee, resume, efficiency ratings, all that type of stuff. Where Tennessee entered the weekend in terms of total defense and all that and more. That's coming up in segment 2, and then I'll give you guys a fall ball update on the reigning national champion Tennessee baseball team coming up in segment number 3. So you look around the college football scoreboard from over the weekend, and obviously some big-time games. You know, Pittsburgh handled business. That kicked off on Thursday night, I believe, and it was a really, really good game between Boise State and UNLV in the group of 5 on Friday, but it was Boise State that won that one. Penn State cruised over Wisconsin. A very entertaining football game, and I was at a wedding on Saturday, so I was that guy at the wedding, right? And I know one of, Braden, one of our, it wasn't his wedding, but one of our loyal everydayers here on Locked On Vols, he got married this past weekend, so he probably hated the guy at his wedding that did this, because I'm sure there was, but I was a guy at this wedding this past weekend that not during the ceremony, but the entire time during the reception, okay? I had my beer right here in a koozie, I had a glass of water right here, and I had my phone propped up on that water, just watching football. And one of the games I was watching was Vanderbilt and Texas, and Vanderbilt jumps out of there, opening kickoff penalty, and then Ewers throws an interception, and then Vanderbilt cashes in right there, and it's 7-0 from the get-go, and then Texas took over and showed hey, we're Texas, let's take control of this football game, went up a couple scores, but just allowed Vanderbilt to hang around a little bit, right? And Vanderbilt just would not go away, and ultimately Vanderbilt took advantage of a Texas turnover at the end, scored, and had an opportunity to kick an onside kick, and if they were to get it, then things could have really got interesting, but, the onside kick was right to Texas. Texas fell on it, and that was all she wrote. 27-24, Texas rebounds the right way, but that was a really, really fun game to watch if you guys, like me, were paying attention to it. Oregon just absolutely demolishes Illinois in a number 1 versus number 20 matchup, 38-9. Ohio State is overrated. Ohio State is overrated, guys. 21-17 over Nebraska. And I know Nebraska was nationally ranked a couple weeks ago, really towards the beginning of the season. But that's not a very dynamic football team, you know what I'm saying? And Ohio State, I can say the same for Ohio State. You're losing a lot of playmakers, a lot of weapons out there. And 21-17 over Nebraska. Ohio State is overrated. And when we get to the bubble watch here, I think it's going to be reflective of that. Miami just continues to roll 36-14 over now the 1-7 Florida State Seminoles. How about that? In the game that was very, very important for Tennessee and really for the SEC and the college football playoffs, Texas A&M and LSU, both one-loss teams, squared off at 6-1, and Connor Wagman got benched in the third quarter. Marcel Reed comes in. He's 2 for 2, 75 yards passing, but he has 3 rushing touchdowns. Provided that spark, and A&M said after the game, or LSU said after the game, we didn't really adjust. It's not great. It's not great at all, right? And it's kind of like when Tennessee played Arkansas. It's what they saw on film all week long was not going to be that 3-man front defensive line, but you got to adjust. And Tennessee tried to make adjustments, but it didn't work out. I mean, it sounds like LSU didn't try to make adjustments at all when Marcel Reed came in the game. And good for Marcel Reed, man. Kid from the mid-state here in the state of Tennessee. He was going to be the winner in this situation regardless, because he came in and led, I believe, A&M to 3 victories when Connor Wagman was out. So even though Wagman came over and took over the starting position again when they played Missouri and looked good in that game when they beat down Missouri a couple weeks ago, Wagman was going to be okay because he came in, did his job, and this December, if he wanted to leave and go via the transfer portal, he'd have plenty of suitors. But he comes back in and wins a game like that, a huge game for A&M over LSU. That was a magnificent game. I mean, LSU's certainly not out of the playoff picture now, but that second loss is huge. We know how critical those second losses are. BYU gets by UCF, 37-24. Notre Dame really handles Navy, 51-14. So Army, the only undefeated the only undefeated service academy left, and obviously Army and Navy playing some roles here in the playoff picture as well this year. But Navy's done now because Notre Dame took care of them. Army will play Notre Dame at some point in the next couple of weeks. Indiana got by Washington 31-17. Alabama just rolls over, no pun intended. Missouri's not a good football team. I know Brady Cook's not healthy, but Missouri's not a good football team. 34-0. That's the second loss for Missouri, and they're probably done, especially the way that they've lost, right? Kansas State edges Kansas 29-27. Ole Miss, really good first half for Oklahoma. Jackson Arnold looked really good in the first half for the Sooners, but you got to play 4 quarters. Shut out in the second half. Tennessee knows all about being shut out in the first half. Shut out in the second half, and it was 26-14 the final. Ole Miss, pulling away there at the end. 13 critical third quarter points, and 2-loss Ole Miss still in the picture, but 2 losses. Again, we know how big 2 losses are, and then SMU gets over Duke in a really entertaining game, 28-27. The 22nd ranked SMU. The Mustangs. There we go. I was having a brain fart. So those were some big critical games we're going to kind of be talking about. Now, if you look at the playoff picture for On3's Ari Wasserman, you go down here, and this is his field right now. He's got number 1 Oregon getting that bye. Number 2, Georgia getting that bye. Okay, Georgia will go to the Sugar Bowl. Oregon will go to the Rose Bowl. Number 9, Indiana at number 8, Ohio State. Number 12, Boise State at number 5, Texas. Oh, BYU. Oh, yeah, I forgot the top 4 seeds get buys. Number 4, Fiesta Bowl. BYU will face the winner of Boise State and Texas. Number 3, Miami will face the winner of number 11, Texas A&M, and number 6, Penn State in the Peach Bowl. So, in a roundabout way, I said all these teams, and I haven't told you the team that you want to. Tennessee's still firmly in the playoff. Predictions right now, according to Ari Wasserman over at On3, Tennessee would be hosting as the number 7 seed. Tennessee would be hosting number 10, Notre Dame, at Neyland, and then the winner would go on to play Georgia the next round in the Sugar Bowl. So, again, 1 seed right now, according to Ari Wasserman, in Oregon. 2 seed is Georgia. 3 seed is Miami. 4 seed is BYU. 5 seed is Texas. 6 seed is Penn State. 7 seed is Tennessee. The 8th seed is Ohio State. 9th seed is Indiana. 12th seed is Boise State. 11th seed is Texas A&M. And the 10th seed is Notre Dame. And then the 11th seed is Texas A&M. So that's where he is kind of at the playoff predictions right now. And if you look at the last 4 in, Tennessee's not even in this last 4 in right now. So again, the bye week this week really, in terms of the projections and all that, as long as Tennessee handles some business, and even if you lose to Georgia, it's still looking pretty good for Tennessee right now. But again, a lot can happen. But according to Ari Wasserman, the last 4 in to the playoffs is Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame, and of course, Texas A&M. The first 4 out, according to Ari Wasserman right now, is Iowa State, Clemson, Alabama, and Pittsburgh. The next 4 out would be Kansas State. Again, barely got by a 2-win Kansas team over the weekend. SMU, the Mustangs, because I remembered that, right? LSU, and that was a horrible second half for LSU. Horrible second half against Texas A&M, led by 10 with like 13 minutes left in the third quarter. And then Ole Miss. And then the group of 5 watch, of course, Boise State is the one that is in the playoff field right now, according to Ari Wasserman. But Army, who has to play Notre Dame coming up, Tulane, Okay, it's the highest ranked group of 5 champion that makes it, so that could be a 2-loss team. Tulane could be that 2-loss team because they lost back-to-back games to Kansas State, who's in these projections, in Oklahoma to begin the season. UNLV, who has now lost 2 games, but really, really close, and if they take down Boise State in a title game, then potentially the Mountain West Championship game, then potentially could be UNLV. So those are the group of 5 teams to watch. Next 4 out is SMU, LSU, Ole Miss, and Kansas State. First 4 out, Iowa State, Clemson, Alabama, Pittsburgh. The last 4 in is Ohio State, Indiana, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. All this on the updated projections for the college football playoffs, according to Ari Wasserman over at On3. Your Tennessee Volunteers are firmly entrenched there as the number 7 seed. And if the playoffs started today, according to Ari Wasserman, Tennessee would be hosting Notre Dame at Neyland Stadium. The 7 seed hosting the 10 seed. The winner gets number 2 Georgia in the Sugar Bowl. So, again, these are a week-by-week thing. They're not perfect. Things can change, but it's fun to track. And I kind of entering the weekend, I was like, well, Tennessee's not playing, man. Like, how is this going to hurt Tennessee? And kind of the way things fell, it didn't really hurt Tennessee. Tennessee still controlled its own destiny either way, but for the weekly projections, didn't really hurt Tennessee. So that's a good thing. What's Tennessee's resume look like? What are some stats that matter? All that and more. That's coming up next as we continue on here with your Monday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Don't go anywhere. We got a lot to get into. Get ready to take on the NFL action with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you are making your bets. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel. It's the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And, of course, big shout-out to FanDuel. Also, a big shout-out to Team Ticker. I want to tell you about my friends over at Team Ticker. Team Ticker is a one-of-a-kind sports sign for college sports fans. Team Ticker is a 1.5 by 2 foot wall design that you can see if you're watching on YouTube. I've got it up on my top shelf right there with that LED display that displays updated daily with fresh content such as a countdown to the next game, schedules, standings, stats, and news. It's super fun and a great way to stay connected with your Tennessee Volunteers. It can be football, it can be baseball, it can be women's basketball, men's basketball, whatever sport you want to put up there, you can control it with an app on your phone. It's super, super awesome to check out. Plus, it keeps you close to that sports fan that you love, or the sports teams that you love, but it really makes you kind of the big dog on campus, right? I mean, I've got to sit up here in my office right here, but this is a perfect thing for a man cave. This is a perfect thing for where you watch the big games with when you host all your friends. This is that thing that is going to be a talking point for sure. And it just makes you look like a really, really big Tennessee fan. Each sign is officially licensed, meeting high-quality standards. It's assembled by hand in the U.S., again, by using the content control section on a mobile app. It allows you to control the sports that you see with the remote function. Allows you to jump directly to any section of the content. So, all that and more, you can buy yours at Team Ticker. Go to teamticker.com. teamticker.com. Put in the promo code Locked On. Put in that promo code Locked On. You're going to get $50 off your Team Ticker purchase. Again, teamticker.com, promo code Locked On. You're going to get $50 off your Team Ticker purchase. All that and more, teamticker.com. Hey guys, welcome back in your Monday morning edition of Locked On Vols. Don't forget, Twitter Tuesday, X Tuesday is coming up tomorrow. Again, one day I'm going to get that right. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, @_Kaner at Locked On Vols, and of course you can comment on the YouTube channel. So, kind of taking a pulse here on a Monday morning, no game to review. So, we talked a little bit about what happened around the college football playoff picture, how that affects Tennessee. Let's continue to look at these. These change daily. These change weekly after games happen. So it's not everything, but it's something to look at on a Monday morning, right? Let's look at the College Football Power Index. Tennessee is still liked by the College Football Power Index, ranked at number 6 in the country. 6th in the country. Notre Dame jumps in front of Tennessee, up 2 spots to number 5. Georgia sits pat at number 4. Alabama sits pat at number 3. I mean, okay. Ohio State, what? Ohio State's at number 2. It actually moves down from number 1, and Texas jumps Ohio State up there to number 1. Again, it's stats, it's pocket protectors, it's a whole lot of things. Georgia being at number 4, when clearly, in my opinion, Georgia's the best team in the country right now, outside of Oregon. Oregon's down here at number 8, mind you, and it's 8-0 and number 1 ranked team in the country. So anyway, Alabama's got 2 losses, and it's number 3 in front of Tennessee, who beat Alabama. Again, we can play this game another time, but nonetheless, Tennessee's ranked there at number 6. According to the Football Power Index over at ESPN.com, Tennessee's FBI rating is 21.5, which means, Football Power Index that measure teams' true strength on net point scale, expected point margin versus average opponent on a neutral field. Meaning, if Tennessee plays a team on a neutral field, according to this Football Power Index rating of 21.5, Tennessee be favored by 3 touchdowns. That's not bad, not bad at all. Tennessee's projected win-loss total is 10.2 wins to 2.1 losses, so 10-2 is what they predict, so with a loss likely to Georgia. Tennessee's chances of winning out would be at 15%. Tennessee's chances of getting to 6 wins on the season is at 100% because Tennessee already has 6 wins. Tennessee's chances of winning its own division, though, 0%. It's okay, guys. There's no Eastern Division anymore. Tennessee's chances, according to the FBI over at ESPN.com, to win the conference, 18.8%. So you're telling me there's a chance. Tennessee's playoff chances, after this weekend, 67.8%. So still pretty good odds to make the college football playoff. Make the national championship game, that's at 13.2%. And to win the national championship, the ESPN FBI gives Tennessee a 7.1% chance. So listen to this. I found this pretty interesting. You go over to the resume tab and you look at kind of where Tennessee ranks. Right now, Tennessee's ranked at number 11 in terms of the strength of record rank, which reflects chance that an average top 25 team would have a team's record or better given the schedule. I don't really know a whole lot of what that means, but Tennessee's ranked number 11. Tennessee, of course, I mentioned, is number 6 in the FBI. Tennessee, I'm recording this ahead of when the AP poll comes out Sunday afternoon because I got a lot going on. But Tennessee, of course, is currently, at the time of this recording, ranked number 7 in the AP. We'll see what the new polls reflect. Tennessee's strength of schedule right now, this is interesting, 32, which is not horrible. But, of course, Oklahoma, and NC State, their seasons kind of make Tennessee take a dip a little bit, right? But look at this, Tennessee's remaining strength of schedule, because Vanderbilt has turned into a pretty daggone decent football team. Tennessee's remaining strength of schedule is 18. So if Tennessee finishes with a 10-2 record, with, say, the losses on the road at Georgia, just saying if Tennessee were to lose a game, I think it would be that game over any of them. That would still mean Tennessee would be beating Vanderbilt technically on the road, even though it's going to be a home game for Tennessee, but technically on the road. Tennessee's schedule or Tennessee's resume, that would kind of help the Volunteers there because Vanderbilt's having a pretty decent year. Mississippi State can score points. They just can't stop anybody. Kentucky's an absolute mess. We'll get into the Kentucky Wildcats here in a moment. But yeah, I thought that remaining strength of schedule nugget was pretty interesting there. 18th in the land. 18th in the land. You look at efficiencies. Tennessee's overall efficiency rating is 3rd best in the country at 87.2, only behind Georgia and Ohio State, who is 1-2 in those categories. Tennessee's offensive efficiency ranking is 43rd, which you'd expect. Tennessee's defensive efficiency rating is ranked number 1 in the country. And what this efficiency rating means, defensive efficiency on a scale of 0 to 100, based on the defense's contributions to scoring margin on per play basis, adjusted for strength of opposing offensive face. Yada, yada, yada. Tennessee's ranked number 1. That's great. Tennessee, in terms of special teams, is ranked 64th in terms of efficiency. So, again, stats, pocket protectors. We're kind of going over it here on a Monday morning. The analytics are like in Tennessee. Ari Wasserman's college football playoff predictions, weekly predictions, projections, have Tennessee as the 7th seed in the dance. Those are some good things to like. I mean, those are a lot of good things to like right now. Plus, I had this note from an everydayer, my buddy Osborne, just texting me talking crap about Kentucky because that's what Tennessee fans do. In the last 2 weeks, Kentucky's defense has given up career days on the ground to opposing running backs. Jarquez Hunter from Auburn, 278 yards, 23 carries with 2 touchdowns. Jaden Baugh from Florida 2 weeks ago had 106 yards on 22 carries with 5 touchdowns. Kentucky is 2 of 11 in its last 13 SEC games. And Kentucky is coming to Neyland Stadium for what's going to be a really, really good environment come Saturday. And, of course, entering the weekend, Tennessee's Dylan Sampson was leading the SEC in rushing. That's not the case anymore because Dylan Sampson did not play this past weekend. I just talked about the stats from Hunter there of Auburn. He now leads the SEC with 863 yards rushing, but Dylan Sampson is just a little bit behind at 838 on the season. Of course, Dylan Sampson has 17 rushing touchdowns on the year, and that is nobody's going to catch him in the Southeastern Conference. You got Jalen Milroe that's got 12 rushing touchdowns, but goodness gracious, Dylan Sampson is far out and away the best running back in the SEC this year, in my opinion. And, of course, when he starts playing again, had the bye week, he's going to be leading the SEC in rushing because he's still was off this week and still leading the SEC in rushing attempts over Diego Pavia, the Vanderbilt quarterback, by 10. 134 for Pavia, 144 for Tennessee's Dylan Sampson. Henry Parrish of Ole Miss, the next running back who's closest to Sampson. He's 24 behind at Le'Veon Moss as well. Texas A&M both have 120 attempts on the season. So anyway, Tennessee's obviously doing a good job there. So I know there was a lot of numbers. I know it was kind of confusing at times. Point is, Tennessee was off this past week. That's all right. Bye week, reset, focus, get healthy. Kentucky's at Neyland Stadium this Saturday. We'll break down the Wildcats. We'll have a crossover at some point. We'll learn all there is to know about Tennessee versus Kentucky and Tennessee's push to finish off the regular season strong, but also Tennessee's push to make the college football playoff. All that and more is coming up as the week continues on right here on Locked On Vols. Appreciate you guys as always. Get in those Twitter Tuesday questions for tomorrow's show @_Kaner, @Locked On Vols, and we'll talk a little baseball, a little fall ball update. That is coming up next as we continue on here with a Monday morning edition of Locked On Vols. I want to tell you guys about my friends over at Game Time. Game Time is an app to where you can download and buy tickets to events in your area. It doesn't always have to be sporting events, but trust me, there's sporting tickets on there. There's football tickets at Neyland Stadium on there. There's basketball tickets at the Food City Center. There's baseball tickets this spring for Lindsey Nelson Stadium for the new Covenant Health Ballpark for the Smokies next baseball season. There's going to be tickets available there. All that and more. You can find tickets on the Game Time app, but also concerts in your area. Shows, comedy shows in your area, whatever entertainment, whatever entertainment is happening in your community, in your area, you can buy tickets to it on the Game Time app. Plus, if you go in there and put in this promo code Locked On College, you can get $20 off your first purchase. $20 off your first purchase by putting the promo code Locked On College on the Game Time app. You can check out the Game Time ticket coverage, the best and most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry, the lowest price guarantee where Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference if you find a cheaper ticket somewhere else, all in prices, views from your seat, all that and more on the Game Time app. Put in the promo code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Hey guys, we got a final segment left here on this Monday morning edition of Locked On Vols. A couple of you guys have been asking me to talk about fall baseball, and trust me, I'm the beat reporter for VolQuest.com covering Tennessee baseball. So trust me, I've been over there. I've been watching these scrimmages. I was in Nashville this past weekend for Friday night, watching Tennessee take on Western Kentucky. And sure, I can talk baseball all the days long, but it's football season on this show, and the audience wants to know about football. So haven't been able to talk some baseball, but because it was a bye week, I thought Monday morning on segment 3 after a big weekend, I'd break a little bread and talk some Tennessee baseball. So hopefully you guys stick around that aren't all in on baseball, but maybe stick around anyway, because this is an update on your reigning national champion Tennessee baseball team. So yeah, Tennessee baseball national champs. It's still so weird to say that. Like I said, I'm recording this show earlier in the day on Sunday. So this is before the conclusion of the exhibition wrapped up in Troy. So I'm not going to have notes for that exhibition game on this little segment right here. But I'll have them, VolQuest.com. Maybe we can talk about them later. But I did go to Nashville and check out Tennessee on Friday night, and they look good. A combined 16-6 final score for Tennessee over Western Kentucky. They played 14 innings, but per NCAA rules, it technically has to be 2 exhibitions. So like Tennessee played 9 innings full, and then they took like a 20-minute break, and then they came back and played 5 extra innings. And so overall on the day, 14 innings, Tennessee won 16-6. In 9 innings, Tennessee won 8-4, and looked really good doing it, man. From the get-go, it was. I'll look at some of the scoring here. Bottom of the first inning, Andrew Fisher, transfer third baseman from Ole Miss. I mean, I kid you not. I tweeted, like, he had a home run to get Tennessee on the board there, in the bottom of the first inning. And I tweeted, Andrew Fisher goes deep. If you've been keeping up with fall ball, this is about his 20th bomb of the fall. And I'm only kidding, maybe. Like, he's hit a home run in almost every single scrimmage and almost every single exhibition. And he got Tennessee's offense jump-started there in the first quarter, or the first inning, excuse me. You can tell it's football mode. Andrew Fisher, a solo home run to right field. Dean Curley followed. Tennessee went back-to-back. Dean Curley, a line drive home run to left field. And just like that, it was 2-0 Tennessee. Hunter Inslee doubled in Jay Abernathy, who I'll get to here in a moment, on a drive to right center. Tennessee went up 3-0. Western Kentucky got 2 in the third, making it 3-2. Cannon Peebles walked in a run with the bases loaded, making it 4-2. You had the Hilltoppers that had a solo home run in the 5th to make it 4-3. Jay Abernathy, a true freshman, singled up the middle, plating Alex Perry, made it 5-3. A fielder's choice RBI from Ryan Weidman of the Hilltoppers made it 5-4. And then Tennessee got cooking. Jay Abernathy, again, a sacrifice fly, made it 6-4. Cannon Peebles doubled in a run, made it 7-4. Alex Perry drove in Cannon Peebles on a sac fly, made it 8-4. That was the scoring in the first 9 innings of that exhibition. A name I mentioned quite a few times, Jay Abernathy. Hey, he is going to be a player this year. He's DH'd. He was in the starting lineup as the designated hitter for both of these exhibition games. He can play a little middle infield, second base. He can play left field, center field. He's got speed. He can hit for contact and power. He's one of those guys that turned down some money to be here on campus. I think that, I'm not saying he's going to be a starter, but Jay Abernathy is a name that you need to know. And everybody's saying, well, speed. What's his comp? Is it an Enrique Bradfield Jr. of Vanderbilt? Well, I wouldn't go that far. Enrique Bradfield Jr. was elite. He was a first-round draft pick, super elite, speed 99 on the game, right? I wouldn't go that far right now, but that's kind of a nice little comp because, speedy, contact, possesses some power, outfield. There's some versatility in this game, but Jay Abernathy is going to be a guy. And, right now, Ariel Antiqua's dealing with a little bit of an injury. Dalton Bargo's dealing with a little bit of an injury, so Tennessee's not at full strength. And, if Dalton Bargo was able to go, he would be in that starting lineup as the DH. And Jay Abernathy would probably have to come in off the bench, in these exhibitions. But, boy, making the most of his opportunity. He looked really, really good. I'm excited to see what role. And we see this. If you follow Tennessee baseball, Tony loves to make defensive replacements late in games. That's why Ariel came in and played a ton for Billy Amick last year. Ariel came in and played some for Dean Curley at short last year, even though it should have been Billy the entire time at the hot corner. Or they would come in and Ariel would take short and Dean would go to third. Anyway, there are ways to implement him in and have him, play a vital role for your baseball team. So I'm intrigued to see kind of what that looks like. Andrew Fisher has been a great addition. He's had an awesome fall. Tennessee's starting pitcher on the day was a fellow Ole Miss transfer, lefty Liam Doyle. Liam Doyle is a guy that Tennessee looked at in the transfer portal 2 summers ago when he was leaving Coastal Carolina. He chose Ole Miss. Enters the transfer portal this summer, chooses Tennessee. He is a lefty to this point, crafty lefty, low to mid-90s a little bit. But since coming to Tennessee, he's dropped almost 20 pounds, and his velo has touched 98 this fall. So again, that's a tip of the cap to the player for wanting to really hone in and be the best version of himself. That's a tip of the cap to Quentin Everhart and Tennessee strength and conditioning staff and the nutrition staff. Another reason why you can be a national champion, you can transform your body when coming here. And I think that's one of the bigger notes of fall ball is Liam Doyle, who's going to be your Friday night guy, has dropped 20 pounds and his velo's up. So I think that's really, really good. Marcus Phillips struggled a little bit in his inning of work. He only made it through 2/3. He gave up 2 runs. 1 was earned. Andrew Binky came in and worked out of a jam to get Marcus Phillips, out of there with a limited damage. Thomas Crabtree came in and gave up a run in 1 inning of work. Nick Abraham came in and looked pretty good, though he gave up 1 run in 2 innings. Tanner Franklin came in, looked good. Jeff County native. Luke Payne came in and pitched a scoreless inning. Braden May finished things off there on the night. Some of those pitching stats were towards the last 5 innings of that showcase. But overall, man, it was good to see. And I'm looking at the box score that I kept, and Jay Abernathy in that first exhibition was 2 for 4, 2 runs, 2 ribbies, pretty good. Hunter Ensley was 3 for 5 with an RBI. Andrew Fisher was 2 for 4 with a home run. Dean Curley was 1 for 3 with a home run. Cannon Peebles 1 for 3 with an RBI. Gavin Keelan 1 for 2 with a run scored. Of course, he's the transfer from Louisville. Alex Perry 0 for 2, but did have a sac fly. He had a big error at first base as well. He's trying to turn into a first baseman. Tennessee is searching for a first baseman. So some highlights from that last 5 innings of the game. It was a completely new lineup. It was a lot of backups and freshmen. Let's see here. Stone Lawless, who I think is going to catch some for Tennessee this year. He could play some first base as well. 1 for 3 with a 2-run single, I believe, in that exhibition. Hunter High was 0 for 1 with a bases loaded walk. There were 3 bases loaded walks. It got really dicey there at the end for Western Kentucky. Chris Newsom was 1 for 1 with an RBI single up the middle. Manny Marin was 1 for 1 with an infield single to short, an RBI. So, I'm not throwing a lot of stats at you, but Tennessee looked good. Tennessee looked good in its exhibition. What a crowd, too. A lot of people from the mid-state. A lot of people traveled over from East Tennessee and West Tennessee. There was also a Vanderbilt exhibition game going on at the same time, and nobody was at that game in the same town. Everybody was at First Horizon Park, so I thought that was kind of interesting. People want to see a winner. People want to see a national championship team, and that was Tennessee in the night on Friday in Nashville, where Vanderbilt plays host as well. So anyway, really, really cool environment. Great to see. I'm intrigued to see how Tennessee does against Troy on Sunday, and I'll get those notes to you later on. Maybe somebody can ask me in the for the Twitter Tuesday portion of the show tomorrow. Get in those questions, comments, concerns, anything football related, all that and more. We'll answer them. You every day. Yours tomorrow is your show. We'll continue on here, getting you set for Tennessee and Kentucky right here on Locked On Vols. Until then, enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody.